Hi, this is Sajjad, welcoming you to this video of Nuke Learning. Morphing refers to dissolving two images together so that the subject of one image seems to change shape and turn into the subject of the other through a seamless transition. A morph can be easily noticeable or very subtle. Morphing can be a time-consuming task, but it can be made easier by good planning of the shots. The more similar the characteristics, position, and movement of the subjects you want to morph are, the easier it is to morph. If the position and movement of the subjects do not match, you can try to reposition and retime the clips and color correct them before morphing. You can use multiple techniques like the grid warp node, planar tracking, 2D tracking, 3D camera tracking, or any other tools to make source and destination at very close situations. Let's take a look at some of the film shots that uses morph to tell the story. This is a shot from Harry Potter feature film. At the first actor, the morph is happening on his hair. In this shot from the Secret Invasion series, the morph was easy on this shot. The hand clearing the mirror helps the transition. In the next shot, which is another shot of Secret Invasion, we can see the morph is on female actress on the screen left, then the actor on the screen right. Another shot from this series, morph is on his head, and as you can see, the source and destination actors have acted exactly the same. The last shot is from the music video of legendary Michael Jackson called Black and White. As you can see, the background is not changing. Only characters are morphing. Successful morphs are expected to be done in front of the green or blue screen. The reason is, when you morph something, you morph the silhouette of the edge of an object, and background as well. That's why you have to use the green or blue screen. When you are satisfied with your morph, you can remove the green and blue screen, and what remains is your actor or object having its shape changed. The duration of morph we see in successful projects is less than 10 frames. Like 4 to 5 frames should be good. The Spline Warp node warps an image based on multiple shapes or pins that you create. Unlike the grid warp node, you can draw these shapes anywhere on either image rather than only add points on the existing grid lines, and corresponding shapes can have differing numbers of points. You can also copy and paste shapes from other Spline Warp or Roto and Roto Paint nodes. You also can create morph only on one footage, or you can have two footage morphed together. Let me explain the options of the node first. Channels and output mask is familiar to you. Crop to format, when disabled, the input image is not cropped to the project setting format size. As a result, warping can introduce pixels from the image outside the format size rather than black. B-box boundary curve. When enabled, a curve is added at the format boundaries, effectively pinning the corners of the image. You can see there is an orange line around the image. Output controls what output display in the viewer. A is the input image. A warped is the warped A input image. B, the B input image. B warped is the warped B input image. AB morph, the morphed image, controlled by the warp and mix controls. Mix dissolves between the source image at 0 and the destination image at 1. This control is only enabled when output is set to AB morph. Root warp sets the global warp multiplier for all shape pairs and layers in the curves list. Layer warp sets the warp multiplier for all selected layers in the curves list. Pair warp sets the warp multiplier for the selected pairs of shapes in the curves list. Spline key section is same as roto node. Let's start morphing with one footage. Let me copy the footage here, bring the spline node here. I can hit F to frame the viewer centered. Double-click on it. These 5 options are same as this menu content. These options are display options, which is source visibility, destination visibility, correspondence visibility, boundary visibility, and hard boundary visibility. On the left side menu, the first 3 menus are similar as roto. This menu contains correspondence point tools. Next is pin tool, and the last one is join, reverse, and unjoin tools menu. So to morph in one footage, for any reason that client might need, as I said, we can connect one footage and do the spline warp or connect 2 footage, which I am going to show you in this example in a few minutes. Let's first see how we can do the warp. This is a still frame of beautiful actress Scarlett Johansson. The first step is to draw a line using this Bezier node. Click on Bezier, and as I have input A connected to the footage, here output A should be selected. If I click on B, there is nothing connected to input B on the node. It doesn't show anything. So, at input A, I'm going to create a Bezier. It could be closed shape or an open shape, it doesn't matter. Draw this line. Then, in order to deactivate this active line, hit Escape. You see the color is changing, or I can click on this one to deactivate the shape. Then select this tool again and create a shape like this. These points are like roto points, and you have all the options of roto available here, so hit Ctrl A and hit Z to smooth them. Also, for this Bezier, I do the same. Let me darken the viewer to see the lines better. This is my source line. This is my destination line. So what this tool can do, warps this footage from this source line to this destination line. But at the moment, they are not connected. We need to tell the Nuke these 2 lines should be connected together. So click on Join tool, click on Source, and move the mouse to the destination. Now these 2 are connected. Then using Modify Correspondence tool, you can modify these lines to be in harmony shapes, which shows the virtual way of how the footage is going to warp. Now when done, I can choose A warped, and as you can see by increasing the root warp, I am warping the footage. From source line to destination line. You see this line is above the lip and the second line is below the lip. As you can see, this is the result of the warp. But we just draw a line around the lips and warp is using only two lines joined together. This amount of distortion is not acceptable. As I explained, if I activate this B-box boundary, it helps reduce the amount of warp to logical phase. When I increase this amount, I see a little bit of the warp on her face, which I don't want. I want to restrict the warp on her lips and on her mouth area. So using the pin tool, I can lock the other side of the footage from being affected by the warp. For example, clicking on these areas might help. Let's see the result. As you can see, the warp is happening only on the mouth area. But I feel warp around here, which is not wanted, so I can create more pins to lock those areas too. Increasing the number of pins will stiffen the area. I am switching between 0 and 1 using up and down arrow key on the keyboard. I am adding more pins. Let's draw another shape on her eyes. I forget to hit Escape, Control A, hit Z to smooth. I will show you another way of duplicating the second line. I can right-click and choose Duplicate in A. This will create another duplicate of it on top of first line, and I can move it here. They are not joined, so I can again click and join them. They are now joined. Switch to A, warped, increase this slider. You can see we have now warp on eye section 2. So the source is on this part of the eye, and the destination is on this part of the eye. Do the same process for the second eye. Now if I right-click and choose Duplicate in A and Join, we'll join the lines. You don't need to use this tool again. So if I move it, you can see these correspondence lines show that they are joined. Click on A, Warped, you see that footage is being warped. So any Bezier that we draw, Nuke will list them here. I recommend you rename all these layers. For example, this is lip up, and this is lip down, and these 4 are the eyes. Let me create a new layer. Put these Beziers inside this layer. Rename to eyes, and another layer, rename to lips, and move these 2 into the lips folder. The reason I did this is to show you how you can organize these Beziers and how you can work with layer warp. When you warp the footage, you can see that it is warping eyes and mouth all together. But I want to give priority. I want to have, for example, this mouth to be morphed first and this eye to be morphed later, so I can select eyes and reduce the amount of layer warp. As you can see, it is only affecting the mouth now. It is also animatable, so I can set key during the time to give the parts of the face morph animation.